Have you ever felt like your product decisions are more like shots in the dark than strategic choices? If so, relax, you're not alone. The world of product development is chaotic, full of pressure, opinions, deadlines, and bets that often don't pay off. But there's an important detail. It's not a lack of effort that kills product decisions, it's the lack of structure. And this lack of structure, it comes at a high price, doesn't it? Because every poorly made decision costs months of wasted work, burned resources, buried opportunities, and maybe worst of all, the team's energy being sucked into a black hole. And then we end up trying to justify it, right? Oh, but at least we learned something. But it doesn't have to be that way, does it? There is a way to turn guesswork into clarity, chaos into method. And that's exactly what I want to break down here today, a thinking framework for product decisions. So let's start at the beginning, the reason behind making the right decisions. Every good product decision is born from three basic principles. The first is problem before solution. And I bet you're already tired of hearing that, right? That's taught from the very first product classes. It seems really obvious, but how many times have you seen people asking for features without even understanding what user pain it would solve? The second point is data as a foundation, not as decoration. It's not enough to have analytics or run surveys if no one actually looks at that data before making decisions. And I'm sure this will resonate with your reality because it happens a lot. And the third is market awareness. We don't build in a vacuum. Learning from the successes and failures of competitors is a powerful shortcut that many ignore. So I think it's really worth diving headfirst into this framework and understanding that it has simple yet powerful layers. The first step, the first layer, so to speak, is to define the scope and success metrics. Ask what it means to win here, right? In other words, what does it mean to win here? If you don't know what victory is, anything becomes a result, right? The second point, the second layer, so to speak, is to generate hypotheses. So instead of falling into the trap of a single brilliant idea, put several options on the table. Diversity of hypotheses increases the chance of finding something that really works, right? It opens up an incredible portal for you to see and analyze things from different perspectives, right? The third layer I notice is to experiment and validate, right? Obviously, again, but it's something that's often neglected in daily life. So no spending months locked away in the backlog, Prototype, test, do quick testing in reality. Put it in the user's hands and learn before making a big bet. And when things get tough, because they always will, that's when the most critical part comes in, navigating complexity. You need to prioritize. You can't build everything at the same time. Learn to separate what's urgent from what's important, what creates impact from what just creates noise. So you need to align stakeholders, right? Engineering, marketing, leadership, each one has their own perspective. And if you don't get everyone aligned around the same goal, the decision is already fractured from the start. And you also need to accept ambiguity. Yes, folks, many times a decision will be made with, 60% of the information, much less than what we would really like or what we think would be necessary. It happens all the time, right? So the secret isn't to wait. The secret isn't to wait for certainty, right? It's about creating mechanisms to adjust your course when new information comes up, okay? Being prepared for the information that will arise for new situations and contexts. That's really important. Because over time, you'll realize it's not just about following a framework, right? It's about developing judgment, developing our critical thinking skills. It's about really reflecting, analyzing deeply. Because frameworks create clarity, but only practice gives you intuition. Only refined mistakes, honest analysis of feedback, and the courage to change your mind build the muscle of a good product decision maker. And that's where I want you to take away an important insight, More decisions don't come from a lack of effort, they come from a lack of structure. Your team can work late into the night, but if the reasoning guiding your choices is weak, the result will be noise, not impact. So before your next decision, do this simple exercise. Ask yourself, what is the real problem I'm trying to solve? Then look at what evidence you actually have in hand. List the hypotheses that are truly worth testing. And finally, define how you will measure what counts as a win and what is just another backlog item that doesn't move your strategy forward, that isn't connected to your strategy. And it's important that you ask all these questions with yourself, with your team, with peers, anyway, right? I don't know what your structure is like, but the important thing is that you do this deep reflection even before going to an AI, because I know you will. So before using an AI, reflect first, think about all of this, and then you can, so that if you want to, if that's your way of working, you go in with more input, with a richer repertoire, with a more questioning mindset. And at the end of the day, because product decisions are always bets, but there's a huge difference between betting blindly and betting consciously. And that difference is what separates a product that just takes up space from a product that truly matters. So the next product decision you make is your chance to apply this framework. And if you do that, you won't just transform the product's outcome, you'll change the way your team sees their own responsibility to create real impact. Because deep down, that's what drives us, making decisions that don't just deliver features, but build the future. Think about that. We'll stop here for now. It was a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed it too. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.